Hello, welcome to Dorks. I'm Zoe and I'm here with Sam.
Hello everybody.
What are we doing today, Sam?
We are looking at the top 5 student flutes on the market. So if you're looking at getting a student flute or buying for somebody, we're going to walk through all the models. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about them with
Thom Conroy,
Thom's
the
here.
multi-instrumentalist. He's going to tell us exactly what he thinks of each model. And what else are you going to offer up, Sam?
Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit of the model history, the model background, and any tech specs I think you need to know. Plus, have a look at the outfits and explain the cases and everything that comes with it and what you get for your money, basically.
Perfect.
So, without any further ado, let's get into it.
And I'm here with Thom Conroy. Welcome, Thom.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for coming in and agreeing to demo our 5 entry-level flutes.
That's a pleasure.
We've got the Windcraft,
Yes.
the Leblanc, the Jupiter, the Yamaha and the Pearl today. And now, you might be forgiven for thinking if you're just starting out on the flute, you could just go out and get the cheapest one you can find online. But Thom here is going to help us understand throughout this video why that might not be the best idea. But first of all, the Windcraft. Would you like to give it a play?
Let's give it a go.
Okay, so let's talk quickly about the Windcraft WFL-110 and the bits and bobs and the spec about it. Obviously, when you buy the instrument, it comes with all the relevant component parts, as you would expect, but there is a really fantastic little case and case cover that comes with it as well. Let me just dive into that and explain that for you. So, first up, it comes in this padded outer cover, which has both a shoulder strap and a handle, which makes it nice and easy to move around. Unzip it and we have this fleece lined cover for the hard case which sits inside. So you've got the portability from the cover and the protection from the hard case. In terms of the accessories, you get 3 things with it. The pull through, which is for cleaning out the moisture when you finish playing inside the flute. A polishing cloth which keeps the outside nice and clean. It's silver plate, you want to protect it. And then this little rod here, which if you're not sure about, it does 2 things. You can use it to wrap a swab around to clean up the inside of the head joint. And the head joint is obviously this section here. You can also use this end of the tuning rod or cleaning rod to check the tuning of your flute. Now you do that by removing the head joint. And at the top of the head joint, there's a little silver disc up here. And if you slide the rod in, what you will find is that there's a little notch in the rod and that will show in the center of the embouchure hole. Now that means that your flute is in tune and you're not losing any air up here as well. So obviously all of the flutes are going to come with a tuning rod, cleaning rod, so I won't go into that every time, but I just wanted to explain to you, if you are a student and you get this, that's what this rod is for. That's enough for me on the Windcraft. Let's get back to Thom and Zoe in the studio.
Thank you, Sam. Firstly, thank you for playing that Windcraft for us. How did it feel?
It feels really well made. The Windcraft's keys are exactly where I feel like they should be. The durability is there and, you know, the action's really nice. And yeah, I'd say this was ideal for somebody starting on their very first instrument. It's one of those that's perfect for just getting your first sound.
Yeah. Well, it sounded great. So the Windcraft was actually created by Dorks to address the need for an entry-level instrument worth having. So this is currently £230, which is more expensive than some you might find online, but it's probably going to last you a bit longer, isn't it?
Yes, I could see around maybe grade 3, after a few years of playing, why there might be a need to step up to something else.
Yeah.
But I guess we might find that along the way today.
We might do, because we're about to go to the Leblanc, which is just about double the Windcraft, 450. So we're going to see if it's earning its stripes.
Okay, let's have a look at the Leblanc LFL-211E. This is a very new entry into the marketplace. It's a busy marketplace, but Leblanc has a very good name from years gone by, and these are supplied by the Conselma company, and that pretty much guarantees a high level of quality at this premium student level. The 211E, like all of the flutes on test today, has the split E mechanism, and you'll find that, like I say, on all the flutes we're talking about. In some other countries, you can get the non-split E version, but here in the UK, we always sell the split E version with the offset G, and like I say, that's true of all of these. Now let's just have a little look at the outfit, because it comes again in quite a nice padded outer cover, little zip here, and the same like the Windcraft, there's the shoulder strap or the handle. It's black on the inside. It's not quite as padded as the Windcraft, but it's got quite a nice feel to it. If we look at the accessories, in the outside there's our tuning rod as per conversation earlier, and there's also a polishing cloth, a cleaning silver cloth there to keep the keys clean, and you should really be doing that every time you play, or at least a couple of times a week, giving it a good polish. Again, the hard case is just a classic sort of layout there for the head joint. It's best not to shove anything else into that hard case. If you've got other accessories, get them in the rest of the padded cover. So that's the Leblanc, a really welcome addition to the student market. Let's get back to Zoe and Thom and see what Thom feels about how it plays.
Thank you, Sam. So the Leblanc is a new model on the market for students.
Yes.
They've also brought out a saxophone and a clarinet as well in the same range. How did this play?
I was excited for this one. I've tried
Ooh.
Leblanc clarinets in the past, but never a flute. So yeah, it plays really nice. I'd say the top end was a little bit sweeter than what we had before.
Okay.
Which,
than the Windcraft.
Yes,
Yep.
and I guess for the slight bump in price, maybe that's what you're kind of investing in.
Yeah.
But in terms of the way that it feels, it's very similar. But yes, nice sound.
And do you think you could maybe keep hold of this flute a little bit longer?
I'd say
than the
this would
Windcraft?
last you possibly a little bit longer than the Windcraft, yes.
An extra grade or two.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, well, let's see how it compares to our next one, the Jupiter.
Okay, let's have a little look at the Jupiter 700. So, for many, many years, and I'm going to let you into a little secret here, I've been selling woodwind and brass instruments since the late 1990s. I know, I don't look old enough, thank you. But for those 20 plus years, at the beginning of that era, if you were buying a student flute, your choice was generally Yamaha or Jupiter, and I'm talking 25 years ago. Now, over this 25-year period, there's been an absolute explosion of models into the marketplace because of the entry of different countries and different brands and all sorts of things. And it can be a little bit confusing, but still at this time, Yamaha and Jupiter are basically a really good place to start. Now this Jupiter, the 700, is about the millionth variation of Jupiter student flute that they've had out on the market, and it's a little bit difficult to keep up. What hasn't really changed though is that it's silver plated like all the flutes in test. It's got the split E, again like all the rest, but this particular latest version has a sterling silver lip riser up here, which just adds a little bit of extra weight to the sound, and I'm hoping Thom will feel a bit of that when he plays it as well. And that extra silver content, as opposed to nickel, that silver content adds often a little bit of weight, a little bit of density to the sound. So that's it on the actual instrument itself. Let's have a look at the outfit that the Jupiter supply. What's a little interesting is that Jupiter have this kind of top loading design to the case. So instead of having the full zip around, they just have a very quick, easy top loader with a handle, which you can have like that, or you can use it as a shoulder strap. But it's quite neat. It just, the flute just pops out, the flute case, sorry. And as usual, you get the cleaning rod, which is a nice little wooden one. And then a little pouch, which comes with a polishing cloth for the outside, and also a cleaning cloth for the inside. So the blue one is the polishing cloth, the white one is the cleaning cloth. And the hard case itself is like all the others here on test, just nice and protective, and it's got space for the main elements of the flute. So, in summary, the Jupiter and the Yamaha, like I mentioned, have been around a very long time, but this is the very latest version of the Jupiter student flute, and it's still very much holding its own amongst all the other instruments in the market. But let's jump back to Thom and Zoe and see what Thom thinks, especially about how this one plays.
So the Jupiter was sounding pretty lovely. How did it feel to you?
Yeah, this feels different. The bottom end was really nice and rich in sound. You can definitely get the kind of the deeper feeling in the bottom there.
But I think it's there's a different material going on in this one, isn't there?
Yes, there is. So inside the embouchure hole, there is a solid silver riser to get that richer sound within the body of the flute. So I think that's why we're getting that nice low end there.
Ah, and that's what we didn't have with the previous two.
Yes.
Wonderful. So what would you be looking at when you're a student buying a flute for the first time? What's kind of important, do you think?
Well, it's really important that the instrument is doing its job.
Yeah.
And that the whole thing is
as easy way as possible.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
If you have an instrument that isn't sealing all the way down and the pads aren't sat properly, that as a student can be really frustrating because you're never going to get those lovely low notes out the bottom of the instrument.
Yeah, but crucially, if you buy an instrument at Dorks, for example, you have a whole workshop of people who are going to try and work with you and the instrument to make it the best possible fit for you, aren't they?
Yes, they're all checked before they leave the shop, which is brilliant, and you won't get that online.
No. And tell me a story about one of your first woodwind instruments, because I think this is fascinating.
Yes, so I picked up my first clarinet from a charity shop, and it turns out it had been sat in an attic for decades, and thank goodness I had it checked by a store because it was lined with mould.
So that would not have ended well.
No.
Good job. Always get your instruments checked, kids.
Yes.
And here we are with the Yamaha. This is the wonderful YFL-212. Now, just to give you a little bit more context, like I did maybe back on the Jupiter, before this model, there was a Yamaha 211 or a 211, as you might have heard it called. We and everyone sold tons and tons and tons of those. They were the #1 premium student flute to buy. Super reliable, super well made, and most importantly, in my opinion, is that the embouchure hole and the cut of this embouchure hole, which affects the ease of emission of sound and the ease of how the whole instrument works, the Yamaha one is really easy to play, and that is a huge thing. That really does help at the beginning. So the 212, the latest version, just builds upon that, minor modification to the head joint to make it even easier. But like all the Yamaha flutes for many years gone by, it's kind of bulletproof in terms of how it's put together. There's one little bit of something I wanted to show you, which is just a neat little thing. There's a pair of little arrows down here between the foot joint and the body that would just help somebody to line that up, especially if you've got a new beginner, so that they can understand the angle at which these two generally need to sit. You can, of course, adjust that depending on your fingers. So that's it, particularly that I wanted to point out on the instrument. Like all the others, silver plate, splitty mechanism, offset G, etc, etc. But let's get just to the outfit. Again, you've seen the trend here. It comes in an outer cover, which offers a nice amount of protection, which is really smart. And then obviously the hard case on the inside. And they haven't really changed this case for many, many years because it works. You don't need to. I've seen them after 10, 20 years and the latches still work. Everything about it works. So a really safe little outfit in terms of the case. And in terms of the equipment that comes with it, or the gear, there's a polishing cloth and a cleaning cloth. For the inside, you wrap that cleaning cloth around the tuning stick, which is in here as well, and that's how you keep the instrument clean. So that's it for the outfit on the 212. Let's jump back up to Zoe and Thom in the studio upstairs to see what Thom thinks about how it plays.
So that was the Yamaha.
Yes.
Sounding great. Now, it's not the cheapest entry level flute you can buy. It's £600, which is a lot for a student, isn't it?
Yes.
But why might you pay it?
Well, with Yamaha, they've been around for a very long time, and you know what you're getting.
Yeah. It's a safe pair of hands, isn't it, Yamaha?
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's heard of it.
Yes,
yeah.
and the quality's great. You know that in 5-10 years' time, the resale on these instruments is always terrific because of the quality of build. It's fantastic.
That's a good point. You can always sell your instrument when you're ready for the next one later on if it's something like a Yamaha.
Yeah, it's a great way to upgrade.
And also, if you ever need spare parts in the future, Yamaha is always going to have them. Some of the other models might not have spare parts in 5 years' time. It might be really difficult to get them sort of upgraded with them
It's not something you want to have to worry about.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, but Yamaha, you'd be definitely safe.
Definitely.
So top selling model, Yamaha. What did you think?
I think it's got a really nice sound,
Yeah.
and you can always tell the quality of build is good with Yamaha. I feel like it's all ceiling, you know, you're getting those low notes out really nicely. And again, it's an immediate response, which is nice.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm having to work too hard to get to it, which again, you know, when you're spending a little bit more money on your first flute, if someone's taking a real liking to the flute and wanting to work on it really hard, maybe an instrument like this, they would see more payoff in the long run.
Yeah, and it's going to last you a good few years as well.
Yes.
Well, there you've heard it. This is the Pearl PF-505E, and it is the entry-level Pearl flute into the range, and it's on par really with the Yamaha. Prices fluctuate a little, so do check online as to the current pricing. But for me and for a lot of people, the Pearl is a really interesting choice because it has a slightly unique sound compared to some of the others in test. And it'll be interesting to hear what Thom thinks about later on. For me, that probably comes down more than anything to the head joint and the embouchure hole cut, which is quite different from some of the others we've looked at. All the manufacturers have their own ideas about what the best cut is, but as I say, in my opinion, this Pearl offers quite an interesting sound. Maybe especially if you're an adult starting out on the instrument, the Pearl would be a really good choice. Now, it is the most expensive, but I would say in build quality, it's certainly on a par with Yamaha, so both of those two kind of deserve to be at the top end of this student marketplace. In terms of the outfit, there's not a huge amount different from what we may have seen before, in that we've got a nice padded cover and a hard shell case inside. And like the others, you've got the cleaning stick, tuning rod, and you've got the polishing cloth for the outside and the cleaning cloth for the inside. Just before we go, I just thought I'd mention a little bit about Pearl, the Japanese company, just like Yamaha are, and they have two production facilities, one in Taiwan, one in Japan, where they make the Pro End stuff. So the PF-505E comes from the Taiwanese factory, which is all Japanese run and Japanese led. And as I mentioned before, quality-wise, we find these super reliable along with the Yamaha. So if you're interested in the top end of the market, both of those, from my point of view, would be the place to look. But let's jump back to Thom and Zoe in the studio and we'll get their thoughts as well.
Am I right in thinking that that sounded quite a bit different to the Yamaha?
I think you might be right, yes.
Yeah.
So the cut of the embouchure hole on the Pearl is ever so slightly different. Well, I mean, every company has their own way of shaping the embouchure hole.
And they're different at student level to pro level, aren't they? They're completely...
Yes. Yeah, they're designed to make it easier to get a nice sound. And,
Yeah.
you know, the pro flutes are designed for people that have been playing for a very long time, and they have a different way of playing. So this is a really user-friendly kind of embouchure hole on the Pearl.
Right, and the Pearl is currently £650, so it's the very top end of student level flute. But yeah, how does it feel to play?
Very similar to the Yamaha, I've got
Yeah.
to say. The key work, I think, is a little bit softer under the fingers, which is nice. There's a bit kind of less action going on, so you can kind of fly around a little bit more. But yes, I'd say it's a great competitor to the Yamaha.
Which one would you choose? Come on.
Oh goodness, I think this has a slightly more unique sound, and
Okay.
I like that. So I think
Yeah.
I would probably go for the Pearl.
You would personally. It's a personal choice though, isn't it? Because some people might
Yes, and you'll never really know
Yeah.
buying, online from places that you don't know where they're coming from or the quality. So get down to your local store and have a go and try them.
Thank you for coming in today, Tom.
Thank you for having me.
Playing, you were absolutely wonderful, and helping us understand the importance of learning on a good quality instrument. If you want to find out more, check out dorks.co.uk. Obviously, like and subscribe our videos, and we'll see you next time.